And uh, Dr. Yumiko Yokozeki, the director of the UNESCO International Institute for Capacity Building in Africa, Mr. Shinya Morimoto, senior specialist at the Japanese Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology, Professor Kazuhiro Yoshida, director of the Center for the Study of International Cooperation in Education at the Hiroshima University, Ms. Sakiko Tsuchiya, specialist at the Japanese Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology, Professor Jen Kikawa, professor at the Hiroshima City University. Ladies and gentlemen present in this webinar, we are humbled to have the privilege of your time dedicated to being with us during the 2 hours of this webinar. My name is Bernard Huyugati. I'm a project officer at UNESCO ICBA, and I was honored to be invited to moderate this webinar. Allow me to start this webinar moderation with some housekeeping requests so that we have maximum quality of experience in this webinar. I would like to request everyone who is not speaking to mute your microphones as well as your cameras. This webinar is available in 3 languages, French, English, and Japanese. If you want to attend this webinar in another language, either French or Japanese, please click on the interpretation icon and choose the language you want to attend the webinar in. The interpretation icon is located at the bottom right of this webinar screen and has a globe shape. Allow me to switch to French so that those who speak French can also understand these instructions so that they may be able to switch to their language. Ce webinaire est disponible en 3 langues, français, anglais et japonais. Si vous souhaitez suivre ce webinaire en français ou japonais, veuillez cliquer sur l'icône d'interprétation et choisissez la langue dans laquelle vous souhaitez suivre ce webinaire. L'icône d'interprétation se trouve en bas à droite de l'écran de ce webinaire et a une forme de globe. Permettez-moi de retourner en anglais et j'espère que vous avez réussi à changer la langue dans laquelle vous voulez suivre ce webinaire. Today's webinar focuses on the sub-theme, Japanese higher education system and its internationalization of peace, safety and disaster
そう、ちょ
education.
っと音声を大きくする方法はあるのかな。すまんかい。
This webinar is the last one in a series of webinars, Silencing Guns in Africa, that are part of a project on peace education generously funded by the Japanese government. Since 2016, 65 education officials from ministries of education, teacher training colleges, and higher education institutions from more than 170 countries visited Japan in the context of the project to learn from the Japanese experience with peace education. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, however, such study visits could not be organized in 2020. In order to continue sharing knowledge and experience within the COVID-19 crisis, UNESCO ICBA planned and organized 4 webinars in partnership with the Center for the Study of International Cooperation in Education at Hiroshima University for 24 African countries under the theme of Silencing Guns. Today's webinar starts with the welcome remarks by Dr. Yumiko Yokozeki, the director of the UNESCO ICBA. After the welcome remarks, we will take a group photo, a brief activity that will be coordinated by my colleague, Marianne. Then we listen to presentations from the Japanese Ministry of Education, Culture, Sport and Science and Technology. After these presentations, we will move to question and answer sessions on the presentations from the Ministry of Education that will be moderated by our colleagues, Jose and Jerusalem. And that will be followed by presentation from Hiroshima City University. And after the Hiroshima City University, we'll move to a second question and answer session also moderated by our colleague Jose, and the Jerusalem. And that second, the question and answer session, we focus on the Hiroshima City University presentation. After the question and answer sessions, we will listen to a summary of overall experience of the webinars by the director of the Center for the Study of International Cooperation Education at Hiroshima University. And finally, the closing remarks by His Excellency, Ambassador of Japan to the African Union. Well, without further ado, let's move to the welcome remarks by Dr. Yumiko Yokozeki, the director of the UNESCO ICBA. Dr. Yumiko Yokozeki, if you can hear me, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Bernard, and thank you. I hope my voice is audible. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to welcome all guests virtually to this webinar on the Japanese higher education system and its internationalization of peace, safety, and disaster risk reduction education, which is part of UNESCO ICBA's webinar series on peace education and resilience building, focusing on Japan's educational priorities, policies, and training programs. I would like to express my gratitude to the Japanese Embassy of Ethiopia, the government of Japan, Hiroshima University's SAIS, and the Japanese Ministry of Education, Culture and Sports, Science and Technology, and Hiroshima City University, who have been working along with us, accompanying us. I also thank all the participants representing their countries. We welcome your questions and engagement in this two-way dialogue. Today's final seminar in the series is about the lessons we can learn from the way the Japanese higher education system has responded to its national needs for peace, safety, and disaster reduction education. Through the course of these webinars, we have seen the profound disaster and tragedies in Japan has faced in the 20th and 21st century. We have also seen the resilience of the Japanese education sector in rebuilding effectively. Japanese resilience is visible in the way Japanese students study in the rubble of their cities after the dust finally settled from the bombs. Japanese resilience is visible in the institutions that they have built to promote international peace and to study human impact of violence and devastation. Peace is not the mere absence of disaster, conflict, and weapons. Peace is the condition that enables children and adults to thrive and self-actualize themselves. Peace is the action of governments to build inclusive quality education, economic justice, and social harmony. There can be no peace when oppression, hunger of the body and mind, inequality, and structural violence exist. These are the worst weapons and deadly as atomic bombs. Education can be a powerful tool to address the root causes and drivers of conflict. Education must be strong, basic, universal, and exclusive. It must be complemented with a resilience and transformational pedagogies. Peace is UNESCO's original goal, and silencing the guns is one of the African Union's top priorities. Aspiration 4 of Agenda 2063, Africa We Want, emphasizes that culture of peace and tolerance shall be nurtured in African children and youth through peace education. However, peace education will not be sustainable if it is not institutionalized by higher education and government. Through this experience sharing webinar, we must learn from Japanese institutions how to internalize and integrate peace and safety education into our African institutions. Education for peace, safety, and disaster management are more important than ever in the COVID-19 health crisis. The pandemic itself is a disaster, and it is also exacerbating some existing disasters in several countries. Through this collaboration with Japan, we would like to make schools and universities place of hope and peace. I hope this webinar will provide an opportunity for African higher education institutions to share and get new perspectives on the area of peace education and training in their programs. Finally, I would like to thank all the participating partners and also the government of Japan and Hiroshima University and MEXT. Thank you very much for all of you. Thank you. Back to you, Bernard.
Thank you so much, Yumiko, for paving the way for this webinar and highlighting the need to learn from Japanese institutions on peace education to build resilient institutions in Africa. So now we move to a group photo. This will be coordinated by Marianne. Marianne, if you can hear me, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Bernard. Can you please turn on your cameras, everyone, for a moment? We will take 2 group photos. Please turn on your photos, your cameras, if you are able to, for the group photo. Okay, and we will take the picture in 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. One more. Thank you, everyone. You can turn off your videos if the connection is bad for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marianne. And we now move to the presentations from the Ministry of Education, the Japanese Ministry of Education. And the presentation will cover the topics of school safety and disaster education and the system and internationalization of Japanese higher education. Mr. Shinya Morimoto, if you can hear me, the floor is yours. Hello, can you hear me? Ministry of Education in Japan?
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the introduction. My name is Spare Specialist Shinya Morimoto, Mr. Shinya Morimoto. Now I'm going to talk about disaster prevention and safety education in Japan. I hope it will be any help for you. This is a chronology of school safety policies thus far. We have, so firstly, we had an issue about traffic accidents or crime prevention. In 1995, we had a great earthquake in Kobe City, Hyogo Prefecture, which produced lots of fatality and injury. Then we had to review the promotion of disaster prevention education and also any other measures for disaster prevention. In 2008, the School Health and Safety Act was established.
発、
And
東日本大
March
震災が
2011,
発生し、
Great East Japan
死者行方
earthquake occurred. Dead and missing total more than 20,000. Due to this disaster, it made a great impact on the safety education and disaster prevention of schools. Afterward, we had various different disasters. So disaster prevention education is one of the very big issue. So I will go more in details from now on. So this tells you the size of the damage caused by Great East Japan earthquake. And also there are other disasters like volcano eruption, heavy rain, and other earthquakes and so. Under this situation, we put an importance on disaster prevention and safety education at schools. So this is the contents of School Health and Safety Act.
で、
In
国は
Article 3,
学校安全に関する推進計画を
we formulated
les
promote
plans
safety promoting plan for
de sûreté
In Article 27, it says, each school will draft a school safety plan that incorporates school inspection, school safety instruction, as well as faculty and staff training, and will advance efforts based on the plan. And Article 29 says, each school will draft an emergency management manual unique for the school, make faculty and staff aware of the manual, and run drills in anticipation of an emergency. And the school should promote this scheme with guardians and the local community. And the school safety, there are main three fields. So one is everyday life safety, inclusive of crime prevention. And then second, traffic safety. And disaster safety. So, and then this school safety can be safety education for children to learn safety, and also safety management. So this safety education and safety management should be done as an organization. And this is a second scheme for school safety promotion based on School Health and Safety Act. It is just an outline. And this scheme started from 2017 and will last until 2021. And there are an image to reach for. The objective, there are two. One, every single pupil and student will acquire the capabilities and skills for safety. And second, to reduce pupil student fatal accidents to close to zero and sharply reduce the instance of crippling or serious accidents under school control. In order to realize this, there are 5 promotion strategies and 12 policy goals. One, organizational efforts for school safety. And second, enhancement of safety education. And so on. And these are information for each school. So the references or information for schools to promote safety education. Course of study is revised. So together with this revision, we also developed these, how to promote safety education. Of course, how to manage to protect children. And in the revision of course of study this time, so the learning should be done cross-cuttingly. So in each school, in various different subjects, students should learn safety cross-cuttingly, so beyond each subject. And the objective of safety education from 3 perspectives, what kind of qualities and skills should be obtained, mentioned here. One is knowledge and skills required to realize a safe life. And second, ability to think, judge, and express. Adequate assessment of one's own safe situation. And then think what is necessary for the safety and decide and act. And then lastly, the perspective to learn humanity. And these skills, knowledges, or abilities should be acquired by learning cross-cuttingly subjects. And then they should be the one to generate the next generation. And now COVID-19 is spreading. So it's also related to school safety. So each schools are doing the following. So in summer, so wearing mask is, but it's also related to causing the heat stroke. So the heat stroke prevention is prioritized. So when students feel too much heat, they can remove the masks occasionally. Of course, they need to keep distance from others. Also be aware of the prevention of the catching virus. And the emergency drills, they also be aware of the prevention of the COVID-19. For example, when they move from a classroom to other places, they need to check the evacuation route. Also have a simulation on the map exercise. So, but not only map exercise, nowadays they started having their evacuation route checking again on a practice basis, not only on the map. So these are the various different safety education at the actual school. For example, when they hear emergency earthquake warning, they need to think how to protect themselves. Also taking opportunity of different case, like sports day, they also learn their disaster prevention. Also, they will learn what kind of disaster could happen in their local community, or they make a map for the disaster prevention, or they learn what to do when typhoon approaches. This is a disaster prevention map created by elementary school pupils. And this is a guide to draw up school disaster safety manual. There are three main points. So the prevention of the disaster and the management when the disaster actually happened. Also post-vention, so post-disaster management. Also, national government try to foster the leaders for school safety. And then this leader can pass their information to each school. These are the documents and textbooks on school safety. This is for grade 1 of elementary school. And lastly, we have a school safety portal site for teachers. So I finished my presentation here. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much, Senior Morimoto, for that presentation, which highlighted many aspects of disaster management, safety and disaster management, which is very helpful for African people and institutions to learn from Japanese people and institutions to be able to build resilient societies in Africa. So we move now to the second presentation from the Japanese Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, and Technology. That is a presentation by Ms. Sakiko Tsuchiya. Sakiko Tsuchiya, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sakiko Tsuchiya, Specialist, Office for International Planning and Higher Education Bureau. All the time is limited, so I may skip a few slides. Or you can have a look later. Firstly, overview of higher education system in Japan. This is basic information. So, capital, Tokyo, language, Japanese, total population, GDP, as it's stated here. An organization of the school system in Japan. So elementary schools, 6 years, and secondary school, 6 years, together with upper and lower. And the elementary and lower secondary is the compulsory education. And from upper secondary, not compulsory. However, enrollment is in 2019 is more than 98%. So higher education, university, 4 years, and master's, 2 years, doctors, together with master's, 5 years. So the graduate from university undergraduate is 22 years old. And I will talk about higher education. A number of higher education institutions. Universities, there are 795, and junior colleges, 323. So total 1,175. And the number of students, 3 million and a little bit more. And more than 85% is the university students. And for graduate school, 250,000 students. And the female ratio for undergraduate level is 45.5% and graduate 32.6%. And academic year in Japan, the new period starts from April. If it's 2 semesters, so spring semester starts from April and the autumn semester starts from October usually. According to OECD, and the entry rates is 72.6%, one of the top in the world. And this is for the major of undergraduate students. And
de licence. Donc, vous pouvez voir quel type de carrière ils vont intégrer. C'est très détaillé. Et ensuite, nous avons l'internationalisation des universités et la question de mobilité.
So the left side. So internationalization of Japanese universities and also super global university supporting project. And the right side, it's like enhancement of university student exchange programs. And also it's like we put scholarship for international students. Also we support getting job in Japan for international students. For African countries, through TCAT and so, we have been establishing good relationship with countries in Africa. Also, we have inter-university exchange programs. project to promote international network between universities, also fostering human resources which can make contributions to internationalization. And from here, international students exchange. Firstly, the number of international students to Japan. Now, as you see, it's like 312,000 and a bit more. Breakdown is mostly more than 90% from Asian countries. And for international students, we have a project to increase the number of international students to 300,000 by 2020. And in 2009, it reached actually 312,000 and more. I skipped this one, but one point. After graduating universities of Japan, the ratio of international students getting job in Japan is stated here. And Japanese students studying abroad. In 2018, 115,000. For Japanese students studying abroad, we try to increase them by 2020 more than 120,000. But as you see, in 2018, it's almost done. However, the characteristic is that most of them are learning in a short term. So I skip this slide. Please have a look later. And the student exchange with African countries, as you can see here. Like I said earlier, now we have inter-university exchange. It's starting. So I hope African students' number will increase. At next, we try to disseminate how and what is good about studying in Japan for foreign students. We have a Sub-Saharan Africa branch in Zambia. So if anybody interested in studying in Japan, please check this URL. And scholarships for international students. So you can see later. And international students, ratio of getting job in Japan after graduation is at the moment 30%, but we are trying to increase them to 50%. So promotion program for international students for career. So university or schools try to collaborate with local communities to improve their language, Japanese, or giving training about Japanese culture, or having an internship work experience program. And responses of higher education under the COVID-19 pandemic. Firstly, so the inbound, outbound limit. for inbound from 1st of October, we decided to accept any foreign students. Some exceptions are there, depends on the situation, but basically, together with PCR testing and 14-day quarantine period, they can enter the country. And for outbound, so supporting students who are trying to get degree in other countries. If the risk level of 2 or 3, we even allow them to go abroad after confirming their what kind of measure and infection control are taken there to the school. And from November, the supporting students has started again. And also as a national government, emergency student financial support for students whose income has significantly reduced, we are supporting them. And of course, it includes international students. And at universities, like postponement of tuition payments, and so. Also, Next is supporting them by having 6.5 million US dollars. Also, use of distance class. It was only 60 courses, credits, limited for 60 credits for online courses. But now it can be increased under this situation. Also, we give support for universities to maintain the environment to set up distance classes and 95 million US dollars budget. And we had the questionnaire survey in last September. So the second semester, almost all universities answered that they are going to have face-to-face classes. 80% of the universities are planning to have the mixture, hybrid of face-to-face and online. And 60% of these universities saying more than half classes will be face-to-face. I skip this one. This is for the response to students, allows students awareness and for the freshman's care and so. Under the COVID-19 pandemic, online classes are getting more important. So we also have collaborative online international learning method. This is called COIL. So through this project, now the number of the students are increasing to receive the benefit of this COIL. And an example of this COIL online lessons, Tokyo University of the Arts. As you see here, or University of Tsukuba, it's called Course Jukebox. Course Jukebox means the students can choose course, like from like a choosing number from jukebox. So COVID-19 pandemic is a disaster. However, we cannot stop international exchange. So various way of collaboration to inclusive online classes. We hope to overcome this disaster. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Tsuchiwa Sakiko, for this presentation about internationalization of Japanese higher education, which present different opportunities, again, to learn from the resilience of Japanese people and institutions, but also an exchange opportunity that give, an opportunity that give Japanese people possibility to learn from other countries and the other people in the other societies, including African ones. So now we move to the question and answer session on these two presentations from the Japanese Ministry of Education, Culture, Sport, Science and Technology. A session that is going to be moderated by our colleagues, Jerusalem and Jose. Jerusalem, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Bernard. I can see two questions in the meantime, but colleagues, please forward your questions using the chat room. As our presenters will not stay with us until the end, it will be a good opportunity to interact with the Ministry of Education presenters now. And I have two questions, and the first question is for on the safety policy. So the question is, Japan's safety policy seems to focus on mitigating natural disasters, mainly earthquake, and the question is, have school safety guides been revised to cope with a pandemic like COVID? Shall I proceed, Yang-Soo?
Okay, can I just move on?
Yes.
Can I just start for one?
Yes, okay.
まず、1つ目の質問、2つ質問があるうちの1つ目なんですけれども、日本の、安全教育は主に、政府のポリシーというものは自然災害に主にフォーカスが置かれているように思うんですけれども、今回のような、コロナウイルスの蔓延といったようなものに関する学校安全のポリシーに関する見直しあるいはなどはどのような形でされているでしょうか。
Okay, and the second question is, in which study areas are the sub-Saharan international students the most active within the framework of inter-university exchange?
Ah, お願いします。 Okay, so actually, our measure and policy for this COVID-19 pandemic is actually not in the school safety field, but in a school health field. So we have a manual what to do to prevent the pandemic, and also how to restart their activities and other things, the education.
Okay, thank you, Yangsu. And if so, maybe can I forward the second question again, or?
I think lecturer is still speaking in Japanese.
Okay, okay, great.
国から示している感染予防のマニュアルや学校教育活動再開のガイドラインの中で、例えば集団と学校へ登校するときに感染予防するポイントとか、
So in so the government gives a guideline for this kind of pandemic prevention. For example, when children go to school in a group, of course, we indicate some points how to prevent catching virus. Also, like I said earlier, how to prevent heat stroke because of wearing masks. Also, at the time of emergency drills, they should be careful not to catch the virus and so on. Now I think we can move on to the next question.
Okay, thank you. The second question, we have two questions and it's interrelated, a related one, and it asks, which study areas are sub-Saharan international students the most active within the framework of inter-university exchange? And also, what are the requirements for the students exchange? What specific criteria are involved in the inter-university exchange?
サブサハラアフリカ、アフリカとの大学間交流のについてなんですけれども、サブサハラの、支援がサブサハラのオフィスがあるというふうに伺いましたけれども、どういった、主に分野はどういった分野が、主な分野でしょうか。それから、これに参加するための要件といったようなものは何か具体的にあるでしょうか。
要求される事項というものは、日本の大学とアフリカの大学の、少々お待ちください。
And okay, for the second question, actually this inter-university project for African countries just started this year. So we cannot really mention which field is popular or anything yet, I'm sorry. And also for the requirements, the purpose of this project is to establishing the network between African universities and also foster human resources who can make a contribution contribution to the sustainable development. So, and actually beginning of this month, we just started supporting for 8 projects which are related to these 2 objectives.
Thank you, Ebisu, and I don't see any question. So maybe over to you, Bernard.
Thank you, Jerusalem. How about Jose? Is Jose there?
Yes, he's here, but I don't see any question from the French also.
All right. Okay. So then
So just to keep the time, can we move on the
Yeah.
second one? Yeah.
Thank you, Jerusalem, and thank you, Mr. Shinya Morimoto and Ms. Sakiko Tsuchiya for those presentations, moving presentations, and for answering, clarifying some questions participants had. And now we move to the presentation on current situation and issues of security in East Asian countries, learning from European experience by Professor Gen Kikawa from Hiroshima City University. Professor Gen Kikawa, the floor is yours.
皆さん、こんにちは。日本語でお話しさせていただき
Good
ます。
afternoon, everybody. I will be speaking in Japanese.
私の名前は吉川玄というの
My
は
name
G
is Gen Kikawa.
ジェネラルではありません。一般市民です。
I'm just a normal citizen.
I just I'm making a joke. It's not an abbreviation of general.
So
Anyway,
Gen stands for general, but I'm not a general. I mean, just joking.
私はですね、広島で生まれました。戦争
I
の
was
後です
born。in Hiroshima after the war, World War.
それで、ずっとですね、広島生まれ、広島育ちなもの
So
で、
born in Hiroshima, grown up in Hiroshima.
平和という問題にですね、ずっと深く関わってき
So
ました。
peace is always a big issue for me.
で、平和っていうのはですね、特に広島ではですね、大変長崎とともに平和
So
を祈
together
る
with Nagasaki, people in Hiroshima always praying for peace.
ところがですね、平和っていうのはですね、私たちのように
However,
専門学者からすると祈ってても実現はしないんですね。
from specialist point of view, just praying doesn't realize having a peace.
もちろん平和は祈ることから始まるけれども、
Of
平和
course, longing for peace may be the starting point.
それでですね、今、これから私はですね、実は東アジア、アジアの中の
So
東アジ
from
ア
now,
の状況にあることをお話しします。
so I will talk about the East Asia situation of East Asian countries.
その危機的な状況っていうのはまさに構造的な問題で、危機
So
的な
it's a matter of, it's a structural issue.
ですから、ここでどうやってですね、平和というものを作っていくことなのか、
So how to build peace?
それではですね、今レジュメがありますんで、イーストエイジアがですね、平和、今戦争起こっていないんですよ。だから平和であっても実
So
は安
East
全。
Asia, it's peace, no war at the moment, but it's not safe.
で、この30年間ね、冷戦という国際関係の対立構図がなく
For
なってい
30 years, last 30 years after the Cold War,
ソ連という、あるいは今ロシアですが、力は随分と
so the
弱くなりました。
influence of Soviet Union, well, it's Russia now, has been decreased, weakened.
その代わりにですね、中国の
But
ですね、
instead,
台頭してきました。
but China is coming more forefront.
で、皆さんぜひここで少し国際政治の仕組みを見ていただきたいんですが、
I'd
これは
like you to think of the international politics system.
それはですね、 勢力均衡、日本語で言うと勢力均衡、バランスオブパワーシステムなんです。
So in Asia, it is actually balance of power system.
で、そこにですね、今からお話しする構造的な危機の構造がですね、あるわけですけども、勢力均衡ってお互いに軍事力を均衡、対等にすることによってなんとか平和を維持しようという、そういう
So
仕組みです。
balance of power is like having a relatively same size of military power and then maintain the peace.
ところがですね、どの国も均衡、バランスを取ることには満足しません。少しでも相手より
However, no country is satisfied with having a same size of the power, military power.
お互いにですね、相手の国よりも少しでもですね、強くなって、それで安心できるわけです。
Everybody want to feel safe, having a little bit bigger power than the others.
ということはですね、そこに軍事力
So
の
this means
強化、軍拡が始まるわけです。
military expansion starts.
しかもですね、中国、世界で第2番目のですね、経済大国になり
And
ましたが、
China, now it's the second largest economy in
で
the
日本
world.
がですね、東アジアの国々、韓国もですね、経済が非常にいいんです。
So the economic situation is rather good for Japan or South Korea and other East Asian countries.
ですから、国の安全を、すなわち軍事力の強化によって安全を作ろう。つまり、
So
お
they
金が
try
使え
to
るわけですね。
create peace, safety by having a military power.
軍拡は今、世界でですね、アジアが最もですね、進んでいます。非常に危機的な状況で軍
So
拡、軍事
military
力
power expansion is most prominent and active in East Asian
し
countries.
かもですね、よく見ますと、核兵器
When you have a close
保有国がですね、4カ国もあるんですね、ここには。
there are 4 nations within East Asian countries which has nuclear weapons.
はい、ロシア、中国、
Russia,
それ
China,
から日本と韓国の同盟国であるアメリカ、そして北朝鮮、4カ国
and
で
the
す。
US and North Korea.
さあ、お金はあるから武器がたくさんあります。しかも核兵器を持っている国
So they have
4
money.
4
They
カ
can
国があり
have
ます。
weapons, especially nuclear weapons.
ですから何かあればですね、戦争になり、それが核戦争になるという構図が今、
which may trigger the war, maybe led to nuclear war even.
私は皆さんに今、私は今広島にいますが、広島からお話しするのになぜ
I'm
ヨーロッパ
speaking to you from Hiroshima.
ヨーロッパはですね、こういった勢力、
But let me talk about Europe.
バランス、パワーの仕組みをですね、克服したんです。
Because the European people overcame the structure of this balance of power.
なぜでは東アジア、あるいはアジアはですね、その勢力均衡という仕組みを克服できないでしょうかというの
Then
を今
why
日は
not? Why not? We can Why not?
どうやってですね、我々は世界平和を言ってますけれども、今までですね、20世紀国際連盟ができて以来ですね、私の理解で7つの方法論、
There were 7 methods.
That's 1.2. Move up again, please.
1.2. 1.2?
Yeah,
Yes, here.
1.2. で、一つはですね、その前にですね、そうそう、忘れてました。アジアのですね、国際紛争、国際問題が、ゼロサムゲームって言うんですけどね。
International conflict in East Asia, it's called zero-sum conflict.
大変危険なですね、国際紛争の
quite
問題が
dangerous.
書いています。一つはですね、領土問題。
So one is territorial issues
これは日本と中国、日本と韓国の間
between
にあるんですね、
Japan and China or Japan and South Korea
日本とロシアの間にですね、
or Japan and Russia.
領土問題というのはね、お互いに譲れないんですよ。
So
でしばしばそれが
no
戦争
side, nobody can make concessions for these territorial issues.
二つ目に歴史問題ですね。
And the secondary, historical issues.
はい。で、この歴史問題というのはですね、お互いに国のメンツがかかっていますので、
It's related to the dignity of each country.
ですから譲れない、妥協できない。
So they cannot compromise. They cannot make concession either.
で、三つ目にですね、イデオロギー
And
対立。
thirdly, ideological conflicts.
で、これはですね、今中国と台湾の関係ですね、あるいは韓国
like
と、
China and Taiwan, or
はい。で、これはどちらかの体制、国家の体制が崩壊しないと解決できないわけです
so
ね。
it cannot be solved without having one of these countries will collapse.
4つ目にですね、これは今、世界でこの朝鮮半島にだけありますが、分断国家という現象
And
が、
fourthly, it's a conflict between divided ethics only exists in Korean Peninsula at the moment.
ドイツ、東西ドイツ、あるいは南北、ベトナム、
In
い
the
ずれも
past, Vietnam or Germany had the same sort of issue.
片方が崩壊することによって統一されました。
And then it was like uniformed by absorbing the other.
さて、それではですね、こうした問題がなぜ東アジアにだけ協力にです
So, but
ね、
anyway, then why this kind of issues remaining in East Asian countries only?
で、それを考えて解決するためにですね、今まで国際社会がどのような
So,
方法で
in order to solve
7つ
these
の方法
issues,
論をですね、皆さんにちょっとおさらいをしようと思います。
we can learn from the history of other countries.
で、最初にですね、平和的解決、peaceful settlement ですね、平和的解決という方
Firstly,
法を考えましたね。
peaceful settlement.
2番目に戦争
There
を
are
違法
7 methods. Secondly, outlawing wars.
3番目にですね、経済的相互依存関係、
Thirdly,
インターナショナリズム、
economic internationalism.
お互いに経済的に相互依存関係によって一緒に
So depend economically on each other.
共存しようという方法ですね。で、4番目に国際交流。
International exchange.
これは国際交流でもあり、国際理解でもあります。今のまさにユネスコの
It
仕
can
事で
be
すね。
international exchange or international understanding. It's exactly what UNESCO is doing.
これは第一次世界大戦国際連盟の下で始まりました知的
It
協力委員
started after World War
会で、
First.
現在それがユネスコに引き継がれています。
And now UNESCO is doing the role.
で、5番目にですね、軍縮と軍備
And
管理という
fifth,
方法。
disarmament and arms control.
武器があるから戦争になるんだ。だから武器をなくしていこう、少なくしていこうというのが
Because there are weapons, arms, there will be war. So let's reduce or abolish them. Like
で、
that.
6番目にですね、集団的安全保障システ
And
ムです。
six, collective security.
で、これはやはり国際連盟から作られて、国際連合が今引き継いでいます。
So now UN is doing that.
で、問題はですね、第二次世界大戦以後、今からお話しする
And
再統
after
合、
World War II, international integration, which I will talk about more now.
この方法、私はですね、このインターナショナルインテグレーション、共同体、あるいは共同体作りですね、この方法しかないんです。
International integration. I personally believe that this is the only way.
さて、この一言でですね、国際統合というとですね、 複数の国々、地域がですね、
Then
経
saying
済、
international integration,
市場、マーケットを一つにして
so
共
it
同
means having
経
a
済、
common
経済
market,
それからもう一つは同じ地域に住む、例えばアジア人だ、ヨーロッパ人だっていうアイデンティティを作っていくこと。
and create a common identity.
という方法が、今、例えばドイツとフランス、
I think this is the method. For example, Germany and France, let's see.
今もうこの2つの国が戦う、戦争するということはありえないんです。
So now they will never have a war between these Germany and France. They won't fight again anymore.
それを今から少し詳しく見てみようと思うんですね。
Let me explain more about this.
ヨーロッパでですね、わずか4分の3世紀、第二次世界大戦が終わった後の知恵です。Experience,
So after
wisdom.
World War II, only in 3/4 century,
日本と中国の間、あるいは日本と韓国の間、いろいろと歴史の
so
問題もあ
between
り、
China and Japan, between South Korea and Japan, there are many historical issues.
ところがですね、皆さん、このフランスとドイツというのはですね、4分の3世紀の間に、つまり3回も大きな戦争をしているんですよ。
But Germany and France had 3 wars within 3/4 century.
不仏戦争と言いますけれども、あるいは第一次世界大戦、第二次世界大戦。
Franco-Prussian, World War First, World War Second.
そしてですね、多くの人たちが戦い、亡くなっています。
So a large number of people went to fighting and lost their lives.
戦争の一番の大きな原因はですね、
The
2つの国
biggest
の
cause
共に位置するですね、
of the war was
の石炭と
Alsace-Lorraine belongingness. There is a coal and also ironworks.
これはにわか200年近く前にですね、産業革命
Around
が
200 years ago,
石
there's an
炭、
industrial revolution, and then which made coal
石炭というエネルギーですね、
important energy,
あるいは鉄鋼、これがです
and
ね、
also iron, the steel.
だからドイツとフランスはですね、この石炭と鉄鋼を奪い合って3度も戦
So
争したわけ。
Germany and France were fighting over this coal and steel.
はい、第二次世界大戦が終わりました。そしたらですね、
But when after World War II,
フランスはですね、戦勝国、勝った方ですね、ドイツが
France
再び
won.
強くならないために何を考えたか。
then what they thought
小さな国に、いくつもの小さな国に分けていくこと。
there was an opinion to cut Germany into pieces to make their power
あるいはで
weakened.
すね、大きなですね、巨額の賠償金
There was an opinion like let's impose huge amounts of reparations
二度と大きな大国にならないようにですね、
so that they cannot get bigger ever again.
というそういうですね、考え方が主流だったんです。
So that was the mainstream of the opinions actually.
ところがですね、良識のある人たちがいました。
However, there were a few wise ones.
戦争の終わった後、これは戦後処理と言いますが、戦後処理の仕方によって間違えばヒトラー、ド
So
イツの台頭が
post-war processing can create another Hitler.
あまりにもですね、苦しめると、再びですね、今度こそ強い国になって、今度こそ戦争に勝とうと、そういう人。
So if you impose too much on Germany, they will be again determined to let's get stronger and then let's have a victory for the next time.
皆さんは一般的に戦争が終わった後、負けた国はですね、 ひどいことをした、申し訳ないことをした、もう戦争は考えない、やらないというふうに思うかもしれません。
Generally, you may think that after the war, the lost country may think, well, we did such a terrible thing, so we won't start fighting again.
ところがですね、時が経って次第
When
にで
time
すね、
goes by,
今度こそもう一回戦って強く
actually, they will
勝とうという人たち
want
が出てきます。
revenge. Let's fight again and get a victory.
ですから、まあ、私はこの Beyond Love and Hate、日本語で恩衆と言いますが、これをですね、ど
So
うやっ
this
て
beyond love and hate. How to seek this? How to
という
overcome love and hate?
深いとした政治家がいたんですね。ジャン・モネとかで
So
すね。
actually, there was a very good politician, John Monet and Robert Schuman.
まあ、これは外務大臣です、シューマンはね。
He was a Ministry of Foreign Affairs, a Minister of Foreign Affairs.
彼らはこう考えた。
Their
サ
idea
ッカーの
was
戦争で奪い合った石炭鉄鋼のですね、このアザストレーン、共同管理にしようと考えたんです。
let's have a joint management of this Alsace-Lorraine.
戦争で皆さん侵略戦争というのはしばしばですね、
So
戦略
the war
天然資源を求めて武力によって奪うというのが戦争の原因でしたね。
over the materials for the strategical materials.
それをですね、いやいや共同で管理していくことによっ
But
て、
then, at that time, they offered joint management of these things.
そうすることによって戦争を予防しようというこの考え方がですね、結局勝ちました。
So this idea actually had a victory.
それでヨーロッパの石炭鉄鋼共同体というものができたんですね。
So they formated the community to manage jointly these coal and steel.
ここからですね、今3の2のところですが、EC、EU が
Here,
発展し
3.2. So that was the starting of the future EC or EU.
石炭鉄鋼、今話しました共同体、これはドイツ、フランスにですね、イタリアとベネルクス3国ですね、オランダ、ベルギー、ルクセンブルクを加えた6カ国で
The
始まりました。
European coal and steel community. So together with Germany and France and also Italy, Holland, Belgium and Luxembourg on top of these two countries.
もう2つ共同体を作ってきました。2つ目はですね、EC、ヨーロピアンエコノミックコミュニティ。
EEC, European Economic Community.
これはですね、共通のマーケットを作っていこうという動き
So
です。
creating a common market.
で、3つ目にですね、
And
これも面白い
thirdly,
ですね、ヨーロッパアトミック、原子力
European Atomic Energy Community.
新しい時代が来る。そしてそれは、
So they knew new
核の、
era
民
was
主平
coming,
和民生利用という目的で、
requires no nuclear weapon, but to have a peaceful use of nuclear energy.
ユーラトムですね、ヨーロッパアトミックエナジ
So-called
ーコミュニティ。
Euratom, European Atomic Energy Community.
さあ、コミュニティは経済を一つの経済にしですね、それから石炭、鉄鋼という重要な資源を共同管理し、
So
そして
community had the same market, also joint management of coal and steel.
で電力を共有するというですね、こ
Also,
ういう
electric power was shared.
そしてそれが一緒になったのがですね、67年ですが EC、ヨーロッ
And
パ
integrating these community was the EC.
この結果ですね、皆さんよく考えてください。EC で戦争は起こらないんです。なぜかというと、はい、
So as a result, there was no war occurred in EC.
資源をですね、自分の国のだけのために資源を奪うための戦争っていうのは意味がなくなりました。共同管理
Because
で
there
す
is no point of starting war to get resources for one country only,
それか
because
ら
they are jointly managed.
市場が一つになりまして、コモンマーケットができると、国益、自分の国の利益っていう線が引けなくなりました。
Also, creating a common market, there will be no clear boundary, no clear line between one nation's interest and the nation altogether interest.
そして3つ目にですね、その共通の共同体の中で人は自由に動きます。ビジネスもできます。すると、自分たち
And
に
people can move and have a business within their this common, community freely.
すると、民族対立とか民族的な憎しみ、憎悪というものがだんだんなくなって、ヨーロッパ人だという意識ができてきます。
So then it was led to creation of common identity in Europe.
さあ、4番目に入りますが、なぜ私たちアジアではこれができないんだろうかという
And
問
why
題です。
can we not do the same in Asian countries?
Et pourquoi ne serait-ce pas possible pour nous, pour les pays?
皆さん、これぜひ考えてほしいんですね。みん
I
などの
would like you to think.
共同体に反対してるんですね。
So there's some people, opposing this to creating this community.
Some people ではなしに、すべてのヨーロッパ、東アジアの国々がですね、反対してる
So
んです。
all East Asian countries are opposing to formation of a community.
はい。で、なぜかという問題です。そこをですね、ちょっと皆さん注意深く見てほしいんですけど、
And the reason
アメリカはですね、大国です。
the US is a superpower, big country.
共同体でみんなと一緒になって、協力関係でみんなの意見を多数決で決めるという、こういう仕組みには反対します。
They don't like this system to let's think and have the common and equal decision making and so.
世界で一番ですね、武器を輸出している国でもあります、アメリカは。つまりで
Also,
す
the
ね、
US is the biggest exporter of the weapons.
勢力均衡システムがある限りビジネスになるんです。軍事。
So, as long as there's a balance of power, they can have a good business in terms of weapon.
お金儲けにですね、宇宙ロケットとともにですね、戦闘機とかですね、軍艦とか、こういうですね、
So-
高度な技術はですね、お金儲けになるんですね。
Aircrafts or weapon and or fleets like battleships, they can make money.
2つ目の中国ですが、中国もですね、共同体作りに国際統合
Also, China is opposing.
なぜかというと、共同体にはですね、単にマーケットが一つになること以上に、
So
物の
community, not only market,
共通の価値ですね、自由とか民主主義とか、
but there will be a creation of common value.
それが必要とされますよね。ですから、今、特にチベットとかですね、ウイグルとか、こういった民族問題を抱えている
Therefore,
し、
they
あるい
have
は
some issues like Uyghur or Tibet and so.
ですから、国内問題に国際社会が干渉することは嫌うんです。
So China hates the intervention to domestic matter of matter.
日本もですね、共同体作りに反対しています。なぜかと言いますと、
Japan is also actually opposing to this community formation.
日本は皆さんご存知かと思いますが、憲法9条でですね、戦
We
争
have
は
a constitution, chapter 9,
戦争を放棄しています。
which like we cannot have a war.
ところがですね、軍事、先ほど言いましたね、バランスパワーシステムで日本の国の安全のために軍事力が必要ですが、それはアメリカと同盟関係によって補っています。
So for the balance of power system, Japan needs military power, but it is actually it's possible by having agreements with US, the security arrangements.
結果的にはですね、日本が経済発展したときに、軍事力をね、大きな軍事力への投資がしなくて済んだわけですね。
So when Japan's economy grown up, Japan didn't have to put money onto the military power expansion because of this.
ですから、ある意味で安く上がりに、日米同盟のおかげでですよ、安上がりに日本の安全保障ができたという意味で、日本は日米安
Thanks
保
to Japan youth security arrangements, Japan had rather economic growth.
日米安保体制を続けることによって、日本の安全を保障しようというふうに流れが続いています。
So the Japan safety is secured by having an agreement with US.
韓国もそれから北朝鮮もですね、国際統合どころではない自分たちの国がいかに生き延びるかで精一杯です。
And South and North Korea are too busy by having their own issue like national security.
Sorry, Professor. Hello, Professor Jed Kikawaka. Would you wrap up in 2 minutes?
2 minutes, OK。はい、わかりました。最後にですね、どうやって私たちはこの危機から逃げ出すのかという問題と、それどころじゃないですよ。
So how to overcome this issue? But we are too occupied at the moment.
最後に1、2、3と私の提言がありますが、
So my suggestions, there are 3.
非軍事的な気候変動といったですね、さまざまなですね、非軍事的なですね、脅威が今蔓延しています。コロナも。
Now there are lots of global issues like COVID-19 or global warming.
それゆえにですね、我々はどうやって非軍事的なところから協力関係、多国
So
関係。
we can start our community or cooperation from non-military issues.
2つ目にですね、アジア独自のですね、これはちょっと説明が長くなります、簡単に言いますが、コンフィデンスビルディングメジャー、信頼
and
醸成、
implement military confidence building measures
これをですね、アジアでも作っていく。
can be created in Asia also.
最後にですね、指導者です。
And
先ほど、
thirdly,
モネとかですね、政治家の役割を言いました。
I said John Monet or other politicians who played an important role in Europe.
国を越えてですね、地域、世界のですね、平和と安全を考えるような政治家が我々には必要なんです。
Beyond the national border, we do need politicians who can play an important role for this matter.
すいません、時間が少し過ぎたようですが、以上です。
Sorry, the time was too short, but I think I can finish here my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Genikikawa, for this informative presentation with a strong recommendation about forming communities within which resources are mobilized. So I would like to remind people who may not be speaking, please could you mute your microphones and the camera. And now we move to the question and answer. And Professor Genikikawa, you will have more time to clarify some points by participants. So again, I come back to you, Jerusalem, to moderate this question and answer session. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Bernard. And I haven't seen any question for Professor from the chat section, but as we have 10 minutes for question and answer, dear participants, you are most welcome even to click on your microphone and to speak and to ask question. Otherwise, I think we don't have any question. Maybe for the from the professor, I wanted to hear more on how the Hiroshima City University is linking these initiatives to the higher education, especially to the university itself, and what looks like the involvement of the youth in some of the peacekeeping initiatives, if there is also use initiatives in the university for the peace building process.
今、研修員の方からのちょっと質問は受付中なんですけれども、まずお聞きしたいんですけれども、広島市立大学において、平和構築に関して何か大学としての取り組み、あるいは、生徒、若者をそういったものに、巻き込んでいくといったような取り組みは何かなされているでしょうか。
はい、私が今所属しているところはですね、広島平和研究所というところなんですね。23年前に設立されました。これは広島市立大学の付属の機関です。
I belong to a peace institute, which was established 23 years ago. It's attached to this Hiroshima City University.
で、これはですね、広島市がですね、こう考えたんですよ。平和は先ほど言いましたように祈るから始まるんだけど、どうやって作っていくかというですね、これはアカデミックな視点から検討しようと、アイデアを出そうというのが研究所の設立の目的です。
And the objective is actually by Hiroshima City. So peace cannot be realized by just praying. Of course, praying can be a starting point, but how to build peace? And then we do need an academic point of view. That was the objective of this Peace Institute.
はい。ですから、そういう研究活動はですね、今盛んにやっています。で、それは私たちはジャーナルをですね、発行して、研究成果をですね、それから時々本にして発表しています。
So we have been actively doing research, and also we publish some journal about our achievement.
で、あと研究活動以外に教育の方もですね、実は2年前に、今年2年目なんですが、大学院、Peace Studies のですね、大学院を作りました。
And not only for the research, but for education, 2 years ago, we established the graduate school for peace study.
で、これは特にですね、平和を作るという理論と、それから現状を分析するためにアジアの地域を重点的に研究する大学院です。
And this actually peace study is the theory for the peace building as well as analysis of the current situation.
Consolidation de la paix, et ça fait l'analyse de la situation actuelle, surtout dans la région asiatique.
ですね、考えて、そして世界に羽ばたいていってもらいたいという意味でですね、特にですね、ジャーナリストと、それから公務員の人たちを歓迎しています。
We especially welcome journalists or civil servants for this course to think and learn what the peace is and to go and then go actively worldwide.
博士課程もですね、来年4月から設立されます。博士後期課程ですね。
Also, doctoral course will be created next April.
日本コースがありますので、どうぞ今お聞きになっている方、関心があればですね、挑戦してみてください。応募してください。
So there will be actually Japanese course as well as English course. So if anybody interested, I hope you can join us.
はい、以上です。
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. And it's interesting that you are also opening some courses, and I hope participants will also join for some of the courses. And thank you very much. Dear colleagues, you are most welcome if you want to reflect and if you want to share us what you have learned for the last 4 webinars, because most of you have been with us during this month's time. It has been a month since we started this webinar. So please reflect and share us your opinion and something that you recommend for the future collaboration on these universities, especially with the government of Japan and higher education. And you are most welcome to forward your comments and suggestions on that regard. Otherwise, Bernard, it seems that we exhaust the chat section. So over to you.
Yeah, maybe I can ask a quick question about the good example Professor Genkikawa referred to in the presentation, the European Commission or European Union community that's able to kind of limit conflicts. At some points, not all members of the European Union were somehow happy. So what do you think of the UK recent decision to leave the European Commission, and especially focusing more on the difficulty to reach agreement with the European Commission, especially with resource sharing? And I want to give reflection on one of the sticking points that is making it difficult to reach agreement, the fishing, the fishing waters, which the European Commission cannot agree with Britain, especially Britain lamenting that the European Commission want to take too much from their fishing waters. So what do you think of that experience and that inability to have the common understanding on how those resources are mobilized and some other values within the community?
もうよろしいですかね。言わなくても。先生にお伺いしたいんですけれども、EU も決して今、全員が、一枚岩とは言えない状態にあるかと思うんですが、特に、英国ですね。英国が EU から離脱するということに関して、どうお考えであるかというご意見をお聞きしたいのが一つと、また、英国が離脱するのに伴って合意が非常に難しい状態にあると思います。特に、領海といいますか、海の資源を共同で管理する、あるいは共有するといったあたりですね、資源の共有というもので合意に至るのは非常に難しいような状況かと思うんですが、このあたりについてどのようにお考えでしょうか。
大変悲しい話なんですよね。というのは、EU ができたのは平和のための共同体作りであったということですね。で、イギリスはですね、私はその点はなぜ離脱したのかというと、やはり国の繁栄を中心に考えたときに、多分皆さんご存知と思いますけど、南のヨーロッパで貧しい方にお金を投資する、税金を持っていくよりも、自分たちだけで、あるいは英語圏ですね、旧英連邦、イギリスのだけで繁栄したいという、これ通訳いるんですかね。
じゃあ通訳します。でもよろしいですよ。まだ大丈夫です。お話しください。
それでですね、この動きは実はですね、必ずしもトランプだけではなしに、一国中心主義というですね、みんなの平和安全よりも自分たちだけで生き残っていこうという動きがですね、この20年、10年ですね、特に顕著になってきています。で、その先、なぜかというとですね、3つの悲しい辛い条件が重なってきたんです。一つはですね、今、世界の人口は8000万人1年間、毎年8000万人増えています。それから食料の増産はありません。それからもう一つね、砂漠化と言いますけど、大体国の面積でいうとチェコという国の面積、5万平方キロメートルの面積がですね、砂漠になっているんです。これ3つの要件を重ね合わせてくると、南北の格差、国内の格差、国際の格差がどんどん広がっていって、豊かな国は自分たちだけで豊かになろうという動きが出てきます。そこまでどうぞ。
Okay, so actually, I feel very sad for that current situation for EU. First of all, EU was formatted for the peace, sake of peace. So, but the reason why England, UK is going out from the EU is that they only seeking for their own interest, and so rather than investing on 1,000 European countries, which is not rich, they want to seek the UK's interest. So, well, you could say like former President Trump, not only him, but the tendency is that past 20 years, many people are seeking their own country's interest, and there are three conditions. One is the population of world, I mean the earth is increasing by 80 million per year. However, secondly, there is no increase of food. And thirdly, there is a dissertation proceeding. So at the moment, 50,000 square kilometers desert is there. It's equivalent to the national land of Czech Republic. So there is a gap between south and north. So the rich countries want to remain rich. So there will be a gap.
本当に将来を展望するとですね、厳しいですよ。で、これはですね、今、資源の問題も今から少しだけ話しますが、資源、海洋資源、それから海上、今、尖閣諸島じゃなくて、南シナ海ですね、海上安全保障問題、つまりね、陸の戦いに加えて、海のが戦いの場に移りつつあるんです。ですからね、世界がだんだんですね、豊かな国と貧しい国の間の対立が始まると、求めていく資源はどこにあるか。地上はですね、ほとんど発掘され尽くされていますね。そうすると、次、海なんですね。で、それで、小さな地球が、だんだんと人が増える、人口が増える、国の数がこの100年間で3倍に増えてますよ。60カ国、国際連盟の頃はですね、それが今200近くなっていますね。国が増える、国はそれぞれ生き残るためにっていうですね、グローバリゼーションの逆の方向が今始まってるんです。
And so the future situation is not really, cannot be optimistic. So they're fighting for resources. And then that battlefield is actually not only on the land, but also at the sea. So now it's like between rich countries and poor countries. So then where we can find the resources? On the land, it's almost like saturated. So on the Earth, very small planet, but the number of the nation increased in the past 100 years by 3 times. So 60 countries to around 200 countries. So now the situation is going opposing of globalism.
Thank you. So for the sake of time, let's move on towards the next, towards the closing remarks. We will start, it is planned that we start listening to the general experience, overall remarks from Professor Kazuhiro Yoshida from Hiroshima University, the director of the Center for
I think I can make my closing remark very short so that Professor can continue and give us just a final sentence because he was still in the middle of the talking.
So maybe we also want to check if we have His Excellency Ambassador.
Yeah, I know. I will make it very short. So I'll give my 1 minute to Professor. Please.
大変厳しいですよね、これから。そういう意味では、ユネスコ含めてですね、国際機関の役割はますます私は大きくなっていくと思います。小さな地球のね、星の中でこんなに人が増えた上に、その一人私ですよ、もちろん増えた人口のね。だけど、その中でですね、今、奪い合いが始まってるんですよ。ですから、そういう意味ではですね、トランプさんの現象、私は次も続くと思います。他の国にも出てきます。そういう意味でですね、インターナショナルな機構の仕事はこれからますます重要になってくると思います。はい、1分どころか本当にたくさん欲しいんですけど、すみません。以上です。
So finally, so now the situation is quite severe. So I believe that the role of international organization authorities like UNESCO will be getting bigger and bigger because the number of the population increasing. I'm one of them, but I think Trump won't be the last person like that. There will be another person like him. So I hope international authorities organization will even make extra effort. Thank you very much.
All right,
okay,
thank you very much, Professor Jenny Kikawa. And before I come to you, Professor Kazuhiro Yoshida, I want to double check if His Excellency, the Ambassador of Japan
Okay.
to the African Union is here. Has he been able
Thank
to
you.
join?
Thank you very much, Bernard. I will
気
make.
気にせずやってください。私のことは堀内ですが。
はい、ありがとうございます。
はい。
First of all, I would like to extend my sincere appreciation to Ikuba, who has organized this important webinar, and the Government of Japan, Embassy of Japan in Addis Ababa. Of course, dear participants for participating in, and not forgetting our interpreter, Ebi-san, thank you very much. Of course, peace has never been constructed by violence, fighting and killing each other, and not to mention by war. And defenses of peace must be constructed in our minds of men and women. And education plays very critical roles to realize peace, as well as to achieve all the SDGs. What we have shared through this 8 series of webinars are experiences of Japan or knowledge we have accumulated globally and disseminated from Japan. And of course, types of life-threatening risks vary by where and when you live. And challenges and problems you face in Africa are naturally different from what we have in Japan. What we have offered through these webinars may not be directly relevant to you as it is. Can somebody please mute your mic? However, it is true that things are interconnected in this globalized era. And indeed, if we consider carefully the issues we have, we realize that the problems you face in Africa are intertwined and also are very largely common in nature to problems we have in Japan or in Asia. So there should be many things in common for addressing the problems. Knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes accumulated through education and learning will certainly be vital in coping with urgent challenges, issues standing in front of us. And that is what we believe in Japan. And such a thinking is embedded in our education policy in Japan. Preparing children and youth for such a life-threatening risks or help prevent rather than causing the catastrophic damage is our responsibility today. I believe peace can be built by us, and we must collaborate for this common cause. I wish all of you stay safe, healthy, and peaceful at this very difficult moment. And thank you for participating and making this conversation possible. We will continue engaging ourselves in this crucial dialogue. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor Kazuhiro Yoshida. Now we move to the closing remarks by His Excellency Ambassador Horiichi, the Japanese ambassador to the African Union. Your Excellency Ambassador, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Vous m'entendez?
Oui, nous vous entendons très bien.
D'accord, ok. Merci beaucoup. Tout d'abord, je tiens à remercier
First of all, I would like to thank UNESCO ICPA, which is directed by Yokozuka Unixa. I would also like to thank Hiroshima University, Professor Yoshida. And I would also like to thank all the contributors to make this webinar successful.
Madame Yokozeki vient de recevoir le prix de l'éloge du ministre des Affaires étrangères du Japon pour sa contribution de longue date au renforcement des liens amicaux entre l'Afrique et le Japon et également au renforcement
the relationship between the countries. So in this occasion, I would like to applaud her.
Oh, pardon. Merci, Madame Yokozeki. Le thème d'aujourd'hui, c'est un concordance parfait avec la priorité actuelle de
So the priority, the actual priority of the African Union is silencing the gun. So the African Union is focusing on the question of peace and security. And on this video conference, you tried to make a link between the peace and education. But peace do not come by itself.
Permettez-moi de raconter une petite histoire plutôt personnelle.
Give you a personal story. So there is a teacher in a Japanese school, in the elementary school in Japan. And at the end of this video conference, I will tell her that in Africa, there is a lot of teachers who are engaged in the question of peace and to integrate it in the education. So there I have three priorities: education, 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 and education. I think so. I'm becoming a bit hungry, and thank you very much. And I wish you a successful continuation. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Hochiru Ryu, and it's a great pleasure to have you and help us close this webinar. And thank you everyone for having been with us during these 2 hours of these webinars. And thank you to Hiroshima University and all presenters. And many congratulations to Yumiko for the prize. And bye for now. This is the end of this webinar.
Thank you, Bernard. Thank you very much. And we will share all the necessary materials, all the 4 presentations that we have for the 4 webinars, and everything will be uploaded and it can be on the homepage. And we will also share the links, the videos, and the pictures for participants. Thank you very much, participants, for being with us for the last 4 webinars.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yes, thank you very much, Professor Yoshida, Professor Kikawa, and next colleagues. We are really, really grateful. And Ambassador Horiuchi, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Ebi-san, thank you very much for excellent interpretation.
ありがとうございます。
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
お会いできて光栄です。
Thank you.
また。
Binyam and your team.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay.